Good morning, everyone. This is Rabbi Joshua Hoffman, and while I'm not posting live on Facebook due to technical difficulties, I am sharing this video of coffee and Kavanah with you here on Van Nuys Boulevard. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, and there's lots of traffic, and I'm standing here on purpose because I'm standing before a car dealership not too far from my home, which was once empty. 2 days ago, when news of protests were going to be held at the Van Nuys courthouse just about a mile from here, many of the companies which sell cars along this street took their cars and moved them off the lots. And it was a stark image because this empty lot, which was once filled with so many cars, something that we need, was empty because of the concern of what was going to happen during the protests. We're living in a time in which the emptiness has taken hold. The emptiness of parking lots, the emptiness of our hearts as we've watched countless acts now of injustice against people of color, against the Black community, against the Hispanic community, against any minority that exists in our country today that has been a victim of brutality. We're speaking out with hearts full of rage and hearts full of love for a time in which we need to choose a different path. Because our sense of the way the world ought to be and the way that we behave and how our expectation of the world around us conforms to our own behavior and our own expectations of the dignity of all people is something that has left us empty. And so we need to fill that space, perhaps for a moment, with rage, which causes us to go out onto streets like this, to raise our voices in protest, to raise our signs and say that we must breathe because there have been those who were not able to breathe. And when we breathe with the breath of love, with the breath of dignity, with the breath of kindness. This is what the world expects from us. This is what we expect from each other. And this is what we must fill ourselves full of in a moment in which parking lots, stores, and hearts have been emptied by the recent tragedies of George Floyd, of Ahmaud Arbery, and of all those who have been suffering, not only in recent years, but anyone who's been a victim of police brutality. This is not just something that comes from my heart to yours. This is something that comes from our tradition. And we hear the words of the Proverbs, which comes in the latter books of the Tanakh, in which it says, it is better for someone to practice patience than to practice might. It's better for someone to practice self-control than it is to conquer a city. These are words that we need to hear because we must understand that practicing self-control is what is required of us to make the most dignified, the most respectful, and the most constructive response to a time when the justice of the world is out of alignment. And we must remember that practicing patience, which is now possible after a few days of outpouring of concern and fear and despair, to pour back in patience and understanding and recognize that the strength is found more in our patience than that which is wielded by our muscles. We also learn from the Pirkei Avot of the 4 different kinds of temperaments. There are 4 ways that people can behave. And we remember the great teaching of Rabbi Eliezer that said, it's better for a person to be hard to anger and easy to appease. Let us remember that this moment isn't something that was a flashpoint, immediately an impulsive reaction, but this is the mounting of years of concern, years of disappointment, years of frustration. And now, let us be easy to appease. My prayer for us in this day is that we move towards appeasement. We move with appeasement by seeking wisdom from our tradition. We move to appeasement by seeing that we don't need to fill the lots with more cars, although that's exactly how the world will be restored back to what is normal. But let us restore that which is empty with words of kindness and words of love, words of righteousness and words of justice. Let the actions of justice speak in places where we felt we've been silenced before. And I hope that you join us and join in our community as we gather together on Friday evening at 5:45 p.m., the Valley Beth Shalom community, the Sinai Temple community, indeed, all Jewish communities around the world will be celebrating Shabbat, our day of rest, and will also be celebrating this time of healing, this time of appeasement, this time of renewed growth. We wish everyone a great day. Thank you for joining us in this Kavanah and in this coffee, and we look forward to seeing you with many more learning opportunities to come.